Welcome to the online lecture on Introduction and History of Pharmaceutical Microbiology. Today we will discuss regarding the history, introduction and applications of various pharmaceutical microbiology. Just we will go into the class. Introduction to the microbiology. What is microbiology? Microbiology is a word itself explaining. This is a self-explanatory word. You can see micro. Micro indicates very small. Bio means life or the living organisms. Ology means a study of. Therefore, we can say or define that this is a study of or the scientific study of microorganisms is known as the microbiology. Or we can define the microbiology as the study of living organisms of microscopic size which are not perceptible to the naked eyes and can be seen with the help of microscope. Okay, we can say that, and we all know that what are the microorganisms means. Microorganisms are the organisms very minute in size which cannot be seen with our naked eye, and they can be seen only with the help of a microscope. Okay, like this we can define the microbiology. And coming to the microorganisms, what are the different types of microorganisms present? And they are diversely present on the earth, and they are present everywhere. Okay, they are present in the soil, air, water, land, etc. Okay, they are present everywhere. We can say that they're omni. Okay, microorganisms are the dominant life forms on earth and are found in almost every conceivable environment and are essential to sustaining life on this planet. Okay, coming to the examples of the microorganisms, there are 5 basic groups of microorganisms. They are about the bacteria, archaea, fungi. Under the fungi, it is combining about regarding the yeast and the molds also, algae and protozoans. Okay, protozoans and the viruses. See, you will have a doubt regarding the protozoa as it comes into the animal kingdom and how they are coming out of the microorganisms means all the protozoans we cannot say them under the microorganisms. The protozoans which are minute in size, they can come under the, or we are giving certain examples under the microorganisms. Okay. Coming to the various examples we are having, that is about the bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoa, algae, of which we are mostly, and how they are defining and what are these. If you go in detail one by one, we can see bacteria. Bacteria are typically unicellular, microscopic prokaryotic organism that reproduces by binary fission. We can define the bacteria. These are unicellular. Unicellular means it is a single cell organism. And these are microscopic. That means they cannot be seen with our naked eye. They can be seen only with the help of a microscope. And they are prokaryotic organisms. Prokaryotic means they are having the primitive or the old nucleus. Their nucleus is not well developed. And they can reproduce us by the binary fission. The cell division is taking place by the binary fission. What is meant by the binary fission means? Fission means breakdown. Breakdown of a single cell into 2 daughter cells. That is known as the binary fission. This is regarding the bacteria. Next, coming about the fungi. Okay, the fungi which includes both the yeast and the molds. These are also typically unicellular but microscopic, and the difference is about this is a eukaryotic organism, whereas a bacteria is a prokaryotic organism and a fungi is a eukaryotic organism that reproduces asexually by budding. Here the reproduction is also somewhat different. Okay, here the bacteria reproduces by binary fission, whereas the fungi reproduces by budding. Molds are typically filamentous. Okay, if you differ from the yeast, fungi and the molds, if you are going for the molds how they are defined or how they are means they are typically filamentous in nature. Okay, they are filamentous and they are eukaryotic fungi. They are also eukaryotic organisms and they reproduces asexual reproductive spores. Okay, whereas the fungi, this is one more difference between the fungi and the molds. Where you can see the fungi, it can reproduce asexually, both are reproducing by asexually, but the fungi are by the budding, whereas about the molds are by the reproductive spores. Coming to the another organism, microorganism, which is the most important nowadays is about the viruses. Viruses are typically submicroscopic. Okay, these are very small in size, acellular infectious particles. They are not having a particular cell. Okay, and they can only replicate inside a living host. It cannot reproduces on its own. Okay, whenever the viruses enters into a new host, then only it can reproduces. The vast majority of viruses possess their either DNA or RNA, but not both. Okay, they are not having, viruses do not have both the DNA and RNA. They can contain either the DNA or RNA. Coming to the next one, protozoa. Typically, these are also unicellular organisms. These are also microscopic, and these are eukaryotic organisms. And some of them are lack a cell wall. Okay. Coming to the last one is about the algae. Algae are also typically eukaryotic microorganisms that carry out photosynthesis. As we all know that algae is green in color because of the presence of the chlorophyll. They can carry out the photosynthesis. By that photosynthesis, they can prepare their own food material. Okay, these are the various microorganisms which are commonly seen, and this is regarding the basic description regarding the various microorganisms like the bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoa, and algae. Just look at the pictures of the different microorganisms. You can see this is about the bacteria, viruses. You can see about this is the fungi, and whereas about the protozoa, algae, and archaea. Okay, these are the various microorganisms. See, one speciality out of all the microorganisms is about the bacteria. Bacteria is the only example which comes under the prokaryotic organism. Whereas coming to the fungi, viruses, protozoa, and all algae, all these are the eukaryotic organisms. Okay, this is regarding the description of the various microorganisms of their basic concept. Coming to the history. Okay, as we discussed regarding the introduction of microbiology, the introduction, just I want to revise the introduction. Under the introduction of microbiology, just we define what the microbiology word itself is explaining. Micro means small, bio living, ology means study of. And the microbiology, this is about the study of living organisms and the microscopic size which cannot be seen with our naked eye, and they can be seen only with the help of the microscope. And these are the various, you can see these are the various microorganisms. On the left hand side, you can see these are the various microorganisms available, okay, at the present. These are the 5 basic groups of the microorganisms like the bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, archaea, and the viruses. If you are going in detail, these are the various microorganisms, and these are the diagrams of the figures of the various microorganisms like the bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoa, algae, and the archaea. Out of which the bacteria are the only prokaryotic organisms, whereas the remaining all organisms, bacteria and archaea. One more example. Okay, the bacteria and archaea are both are prokaryotic organisms, these two, but whereas coming to the viruses, fungi, and the protozoa and algae, all these are the eukaryotic organisms. Okay, this is regarding the introduction of microbiology. Then we will go regarding the history of microbiology. What the history it says. History says the so many scientists or the authors are about the scientists who made so much of contributions towards the development or the era of microbiology. Out of which the first and the foremost contribution made by the first scientist is known as the Antony von Leeuwenhoek. We can call him as the father of microbiology. Okay, Antony von Leeuwenhoek, 1632 to 1723, he was a Dutch tradesman and a scientist. Okay, he's a tradesman and also scientist, and he is commonly known as the father of microbiology and considered to be the first microbiologist. Okay, he is the first microbiologist who started the work on the microorganisms. And what is his specialty? What is his major contribution toward the microbiology is that he invented the microscopic lenses. He invented or he prepared nearly 250 microscopic lenses. He is the best known for his work on the improvement of the microscope, for his contribution toward the establishment of microbiology. Because we all know that the microorganisms which cannot be seen with our naked eye, and they can be seen only with the help of certain equipment known as the microscope. Okay, that without the help of the microscope, we cannot see the microorganisms. Therefore, Antony von Leeuwenhoek was a scientist who developed the microscope. See, you can see on the right hand side, you can see this figure. This is the microscopic specimen which was the prepared by the Antony von Leeuwenhoek. You can see here, this is about the lens and this is about the sample holder. Here you can place the sample, and this is about the sample holder. And here is about the various coarse knobs. Okay, in our microscope we are having coarse adjustment and the fine adjustment knobs. And the sample translator. Okay, this is about the Leeuwenhoek microscope. You can see here. And like coming to the next point is about using his handcraft microscopes. He was the first to observe and describe the single cell microorganisms. We all know that, and I also explained that the organisms are the microorganisms. Mostly the microorganisms are unicellular organisms. Uni means single cell organisms. Okay, he is the first person who observed the microorganisms with the help of his whatever he invented the microscope. And he described that the microorganisms are single cell organisms. Okay, this is his major contribution. Because of the development of the microscope, he was called as the father of microbiology, and he considered to be the first microbiologist. Okay, this is his contribution towards the microbiology. Just remind the point that he is the father of microbiology. Coming to the next contribution made by the second important scientist, he is known as the Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur 1822 to 1895. His contributions are more to the microbiology. And what type of a person he is about? He is a French organic chemist, and he is considered as the father of modern microbiology. Okay, we are calling him as the father of modern microbiology because he made so much of contributions, which are whatever the applicability part, which we are using. Of which the first important one is about the fermentation process. Okay, under the fermentation process, beer and wine not produced without the microbes. He explained that the fermentation process is going on only because of the microorganisms. And the second point he explained is about the microbes causes the spoilage. We are always saying that there is a spoilage of the food material or anything. Any spoilage if taking place, he explained that spoilage is taking place only because of the microorganisms. Suppose if the microorganisms grows on that object or about the food materials, and it will causes the spoilage. Okay, he told that he explained that microorganisms are the causative organisms which causes the spoilages. Coming to the next contribution or next work, he explained that he demonstrated the gun cotton experiment, and he performed the swan neck flask experiment. What this swan neck flask experiment? On the left hand side you can see this is about the swan neck flask experiment. The swan neck flask experiment is explaining about the germ theory of disease. Okay, previously there is a concept known as the spontaneous generation. The spontaneous generation indicates that spontaneously something is going on, and because so many diseases are causing because of some miracles or because of some unknown factors. That's why Aristotle and so many scientists, they explained that is regarding the spontaneous generation. But later Louis Pasteur, he explained the germ theory of diseases by the experiment known as the swan neck flask experiment. And what this flask experiment it consisting of means he has taken certain the flask which consisting of a neck which is very very long, thin like this. It is looking like a swan neck. That's why it is known as the swan neck flask experiment. In the swan neck flask experiment, he has taken the culture medium up to some level, and he applied the heat to this medium. Okay, as the swan neck is about very very long and thin in nature, therefore the contact of air to this culture medium is very very difficult, and it requires very very difficult, so that as the air cannot move enters very easily, therefore when this flask after the heating, when it let the flask kept aside for some time, okay, there is no growth of the bacteria. But coming to the second experiment is about, again he has taken another flask of the swan neck type of flask only, and he has taken the culture medium and he applied the heat, the same concept, but he removed the neck and let it sit or kept aside. See, this is about the neck of the flask. Whatever the flask neck is there, he has broken here. Okay, when there is a broken here, that means whatever the culture medium present in the flask, it is more exposed to the air. That means exposure to the air, the chances are more, so that the air, as I told in the starting class, that microorganisms are everywhere. Therefore, whatever the microorganisms present in the air, they entered into the flask and they causes the growth of the bacteria. You can see here. That means, see, in the previous experiment, as the neck of the flask is very, very long, therefore the entry of the air is somewhat difficult, and it reaching of this air into the flask is taking so much time, and therefore no bacterial growth was present. Whereas coming to the second experiment, in which the neck of the flask was cutted and the exposure of the culture medium is more, okay, when compared to the first experiment. Therefore, the contamination chances are more, so that the bacteria will be grown in the medium. Coming to the third experiment, he continued the same experiment with the third experiment, in which he has taken the swan neck flask with the same thing, with having the culture medium, and he applied the heat also. And here he tilted the flask. Okay, when he tilted the flask, the half of the culture medium will comes through this flask, and nearly it is ready to touch to the tip of the flask. Therefore, the exposure of this medium to the air is more when compared to that of the first experiment. See, in the first experiment, there is no contact of the air to the culture medium because of this long neck type. But here also the long neck is there, the swan type of neck flask is there, but here the medium is coming out of the nearer to the end of the flask or the tip of the flask. Therefore, as the tilt flask sideways and let it set, the bacteria will be grows. Okay, all these three experiments will says that when there is an exposure of the culture medium to the air, then the air which consisting of microorganisms, they can easily grow in the bacteria. This explains, or this demonstrated, or this proves the germ theory of diseases. Okay, germ theory of diseases can be explained by the experiment known as the swan neck flask experiment. And the other important contribution is about the, he disproved the spontaneous generation with the help of this experiment known as the swan neck flask experiment. And he developed the pasteurization process, which is the most important process. Till nowadays, we are using the pasteurization process for the dairy products. And the next one is about the virulence power. He explained and he demonstrated, or he explained, he contributed. The another point is about the virulence power or the virulence character. What is meant by the virulence means the pathogenicity. Okay, the disease causing. The disease causing characteristic will be present if there is a virulence power. Okay, suppose if the organism is the non-pathogenic, that means it is a non-virulent. The virulence power is the responsible characteristic by which, because of which the organism is a pathogenic. Suppose if the organism is non-virulent and it is a non-pathogenic, it is not causing any disease. Coming to the last one is about he developed the rabies and anthrax vaccines. Okay, this is also one more important contribution made by the Louis Pasteur. In those days, there is a severity of the disease regarding the rabies and the anthrax, and he developed a vaccine against this rabies and anthrax, and he was so successful, and he made his major contribution. Hence, he was called as the father of modern microbiology. Coming to the third contribution made by the another scientist known as the Robert Koch. The Robert Koch, he is a German physician. He is a doctor, okay, in the German, okay. And he is considered as the father of medical microbiology, whereas the Louis Pasteur is the father of modern microbiology, whereas the Robert Koch is the father of medical microbiology. Because his major contributions, as he is a physician, his major contribution is towards the diseases, okay, the diseases and the development of vaccines, and he explained about the disease causing organisms, few diseases, and he is the first person to demonstrate the role of bacteria in the causing diseases. Okay, and he is a scientist who explained that this is the bacteria which is causing so many diseases. Okay, and the second contribution, he is the first to isolate Bacillus anthracis. Bacillus anthracis is a causative organism which causes the anthrax disease. He isolated the Bacillus anthracis. And the next contribution is about he discovered the Mycobacterium tuberculosis in 1882 and the Vibrio cholera in 1883. For his major contribution regarding this discovery of these two organisms, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which causes the tuberculosis, and Vibrio cholera, which causes the cholera, and he was awarded with the Nobel Prize in 1905. and he developed the relationship between the microorganism and the diseases. He explained that all the diseases are caused only because of the microorganism. That's how he related the microorganism to the diseases. Diseases are not caused because of the any other factors, and diseases are caused because of the microorganisms. And his major postulates you can see is about the Koch postulates. Okay, that microorganism present in every case of the disease. Okay, if any disease is there or any infection is there, it was caused only because of microorganism. The next postulate is about the microorganisms must be isolated from the diseased animal and can be grown in the pure culture. From the diseased animal, we can collect the, or we can isolate the microorganism, the causative agent, and we can grow in the pure culture. The disease must be reproduced when a pure culture of the microorganism is inoculated into a susceptible host. Okay, the disease must be reproduced when we are going for using this pure culture, when we are susceptible, so that the disease must be reproduced. The same microorganism must be desolated from the experimentally infected host. With this point, it can be explained with this diagram. See, the microorganisms are isolated from the dead animal. You can see from the dead animal. That means here the mouse was taken. Here the dead mouse. From this, that means the mouse was dead because of some infection. Therefore, the disease which is caused by the microorganism, that microorganism was isolated from, and he developed into the colonies. Okay, he developed in the agar medium or the culture medium, and there you can see these are the colonies which are formed. These colonies are nothing but the microorganisms, the causative organism which causes the death of the mice. And the microorganisms, they are grown in this pure culture, and these microorganisms are identified, they can be characteristic by using the microscope. We can identify what type of the organism is, whether it is a bacteria or fungi or the viruses, etc. Okay, and the next point what we are saying is about we can see is about whatever the organism which was grown in the pure culture, just it was injected to the healthy animal. It was injected to the healthy animal, and the disease is reproduced in the second animal. The microorganisms are again isolated from this animal, and the pathogenic microorganisms are grown in the pure culture, and we can identify the microorganisms. Okay, these are the various postulates of the Robert Koch. Coming to the other scientist or the contribution made is known as the Joseph Lister. The Lord Joseph Lister is also known as the father of antiseptic surgery, because he had major contribution regarding for the surgery concept. Okay, he developed the antisepsis. Okay, antiseptic, which prevent. What is meant by the antiseptic means? Anti means opposite toward the sepsis. Okay, sepsis means infection. Okay, which is the agent which acts against the sepsis is known as the antiseptic. Antiseptic was the thing which was discovered by the Joseph Lister. Because of this, he has carried out so many surgeries, and he can make these surgeries very successful without the death of the mammals or about the humans. See, Lord Joseph Lister, also known as the father of antiseptic surgery, and he proved that wound infections were due to the microorganisms. As we explained in the previous slide also, that infections, okay, not only the diseases, infections are also caused because of the microorganisms. He developed a method to destroy the microorganisms in the operating theater. Okay, in the way the operations are going on. See, even though the operation was very done very carefully, and the doctor is very good, but if the environment of that operation theater is not in the aseptic condition, it will lead to the death of the organism. Therefore, he developed a method which destroys the microorganisms in the operation theater by destroying a mist of carbolic acid into the air. In the operation whole theater, just he sprayed the carbolic acid into the air with the help of a certain sprayer. See, in the right hand side, you can see this is the carbolic acid sprayer which he designed. Into the sprayer, it consisting of, we are using the carbolic acid, and it was sprayed in the rooms. Okay, see, Lister made the first antiseptic to disinfect wounds and spray the air of his operating theater with carbolic acid steam. Okay, this is about the carbolic acid sprayer. This dramatically reduced the number of people dying due to the surgical sepsis. Okay, because previously so many people are dying because of the sepsis, because as it is not treated with the not treated, therefore the infections was going on very increasingly, and it will lead to the death of the organisms. Okay, like that he saved so many lives because of the development of the antiseptic, which was used mostly in the surgery. That's why he is known as the father of antiseptic surgery. Coming to the last contribution made is about, okay, there are so many contributions, out of which I have chosen the best 5 contributions regarding the microbiology. Coming to the various fields of the microbiology. Coming to the last one is about the Alexander Fleming. He is the scientist, he is a well-known scientist that everybody will know, 1881 to 1955. His major contribution is regarding the discovery of the first and foremost antibiotic, which is known as the penicillin. Before the development of the penicillin, he developed the enzyme also. Let's go into the topic. Alexander Fleming, between 1881 to 1955, and he is a Scottish biologist and pharmacologist also. His best known discoveries are the discovery of the enzyme lysozyme in 1923. As I explained that before the discovery of the antibiotic penicillin, and he discovered the enzyme lysozyme in 1823 itself. Later he developed, or he discovered the antibiotic known as the penicillin. Okay, we cannot say it as a penicillin. Okay, it is a penicillin. Okay, penicillin from the mole Penicillium notatum in 1928, which was a discovery by chance. On the 3rd September in 1928, Fleming returned to his lab after vacation. Before leaving, he had stocked all his cultures of Staphylococci on a bench in a corner of his laboratory. On returning, Fleming noticed that one culture was contaminated with the fungus. You can see here, on the figure you can see. On the Petri plate you can see this is the fungus which was grown. Okay, one culture was contaminated with the fungus, and that the colonies of the Staphylococci that had immediately surrounded it had been destroyed, whereas the other colonies further were normal. Okay, this was the contribution, or this was observation made by the scientist, which is known as the Alexander Fleming, and he has shared the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1945. Okay, with the other 2 scientists known as the Howard Florey and Ernst Chain, who also worked on the penicillin, and they purified the penicillin. And whereas Alexander Fleming is a scientist who discovered the penicillin, whereas the Florey and the Chain, along with the Alexander Fleming, they shared the Nobel Prize by the work on the purification of the penicillin. Okay, these are the various contributions made. So many other contributions were there, out of which I gave the best 5, and these are the most important contributions made during the era of the microbiology. Okay, Alexander Fleming, Joseph Lister, and Robert Koch, Louis Pasteur, and Antony von Leeuwenhoek. Okay, this is regarding the history, introduction and history of microbiology. Okay, thank you.